Just like every series, Bluey has its unnecessary episodes. Some stories of the children's series don't progress the story further and become episodes fans dislike or could do without. Although nearly every episode is still fun to watch and does well in holding fans' attention, there are still a few that the audience may not mind missing out on. These 10 episodes fail to progress the story of Bluey, as they lack integral learning moments or character development, and even if they were no longer in the series, everything else could progress normally. Number 1. Hotel. First on the list is Hotel, an episode all about Bluey and Bingo making a hotel for their dad to stay in. During his stay, Bandit has to contend with Bingo, who acts like a crazy worker and eventually decides to quit the game with her sister. Although this episode does show the girls struggling to play fair and work things out in the end, there is no real meaning discussed in the 10 minutes. Bluey convinces her sister to keep playing the game and they have fun, but the underlying story needs to progress in this episode. There's also no real problem for the girls to solve, and without a lesson to learn or a story to tell, fans could do without this episode. Number 2. Blue Mountain. Although this episode is unique in how they tell the fairy tale, Blue Mountain still holds no merit in the many other episodes of Season 1. Unlike many unnecessary episodes on this list, this episode keeps the fans' attention the best. Since the target audience is children, this episode does well with its entertainment value, but if it were not to be aired, it would still not change the show's importance. The lesson that could be argued in this episode is not to trust strangers, similar to most childhood fairy tales. However, this lesson could have been taught with more of the story involved without creating an episode that branches off from typical Bluey episodes. Number 3. Asparagus. Bluey turns her family into multiple wild animals throughout this episode using her magic asparagus. This episode is about how a child's imagination works and how much fun can come from the whole family thoroughly involving themselves in the game. While asparagus allows fans to see the silly side of Bluey's mind, in this episode the specific narrative and game can go without being in the series. Many other episodes show how Bluey's imagination can run wild while exploring every character's story. An excellent example is Fruit Bat, where we see her wild imagination take over her dreams. Number 4. Hairdressers. This episode of Bluey could be included in the series as it shows the not-so-great ways Bluey and Bingo find their voices. Every child can struggle with feeling like their voice isn't loud enough, but there are better ways to teach this. We see the girls use their dad to play silly games more than a few times. However, Hairdresser shows a time when that game can go too far. As important as it is for Bingo to learn to use her big kid voice, she and her sister don't have to use their dad to learn that lesson, as they often help each other overcome the same issues throughout other episodes. Number 5. Movies. An essential part of everyone's childhood is experiencing things for the first time, whether eating new foods or watching a movie for the first time. The episode Movies covers this topic as we watch Bluey, Bingo, and Bandit as they go to watch a movie inside the theater. As expected, some issues arise inside the film, causing the girls to lose interest and not enjoy what they're watching. As important as making memories is, something as minimal as attending the theater for the first time is optional to be featured for everyone to see. It is essential to see how Bluey learns to enjoy the movie and change into the older version of herself she is becoming, but this could have been shown in more exciting and essential ways. Number 6. Dunny. An essential part of every children's series is the messages it delivers and the lessons it intends to teach its audience. Series like Bluey are popular because the writers balance how they explain messages while always keeping the audience's attention and entertaining them. Not all episodes featuring the Blue Healers have great messages, and Dunny is a perfect example. This episode almost exclusively takes place inside Chili and Bandit's rooms and explains the importance of not using lousy language. Although their mom doesn't like the word Dunny, the rest of the family disagrees and it causes a friendly argument between them all. Ultimately, Chili gives in and allows everyone to say what they please. Because of this, there is no real takeaway from the episode. The message wouldn't be apparent if they tried to explain why lousy language shouldn't be used. Number 7. Chess. Throughout this episode, as we watch Bandit attempt to teach his daughters how to play the grown-up chess game, we see him fail in multiple ways as both girls interpret the game in their own way and change the rules to make it more interesting. Although Bandit explains that he's trying to raise his daughters to be intelligent and understand the importance of the game, it's clear the girls still need time to be ready. An episode such as this would be better in a later season of the show when Bluey can better understand what her father is trying to teach her. As it is now, neither girl can understand the game and the message is lost between them and their dad, and also lost on many of the fans watching the exchange between the family. Number 8. Tina. Another example of the healer sisters taking advantage of their dad is in Tina, when they spend the entire day using their imaginary friend against him so they don't have to do their chores. Of course, the underlying message is the importance of doing what your parents ask of you, but part of that message gets lost in how Bluey and Bingo treat their dad. In a lot of ways, it's like the girls are allowing their invisible friend to bully their dad, and younger children watching may get the same kind of idea. When the girls realize what they've done wrong and apologize, it's only after tormenting Bandit for a while to get what they want. It works, too, until their mom gets home, and in many ways, fans watching can almost feel bad for what Bandit has to go through. The lesson of understanding the importance of listening to your parents could have been told in a way that didn't involve their dad being thrown around or bullied, and that's why fans could go without this episode. Number 9. Tragedies. Although this episode shows a different angle of the healers' lives and how their lives can be when Bandit and Chili aren't always playing their games with their children, it's an episode that has no meaning later on. We learn through this episode that the healers plan to install a pond in their backyard, and the sisters watch as it comes together. They run back and forth to tell their mom about the drama between workers. Although this episode is both funny and entertaining, it makes it onto this list because we never see their new pond after it is mentioned in the episode. It would have been interesting to see a new scene for the girls' backyard, but the entire episode becomes pointless since it is seemingly forgotten in the series. Number 10. Cubby. One of the more imaginative episodes of Season 3, Cubby, explores how far a child's imagination can take them when they have complete control over their games. After taking control of the entire living room, Bluey and Bingo struggle to stop creating more cubbies for the home they are building, never having enough space. The same problem occurs with Chili as she plans their new living room layout. The only reason this episode isn't necessary is because it does not further the plot. Since Season 3 is focused mainly on exploring Bluey's family and how it's growing and changing, this episode only supports that a little. With Bluey's friends receiving individual episodes and deeper backstories than we have seen before, the sisters spending a day inside could have been better used to elaborate more on their story or the multiple stories happening around Bluey and her life. Although all episodes of Bluey hold a special place in our hearts, some episodes could do better by being replaced with something else, whether that be removing the episode entirely or using the same idea at a later time when it makes more sense. Some episodes of Bluey are optional to be able to tell the underlying story. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated on our uploads.